The new movie, The Deliverance, directed by Lee Daniels, scored a 33% Rotten Tomatoes. This is going to be a movie review. We're going to get into it.
Ooh, you are listening to the Billy Flint Experience.
Thank you so much for joining me here today on a Monday, new month, September. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're coming here live from Germany. I am your host, Billy Flint. And again, this is the Billy Flint Experience. We're going to get into a movie review. Of course, this is my personal opinion of the new installment by one of Hollywood's, I guess you can say, talented director. Goes by the name of Lee Daniels. In his new movie on Netflix called The Deliverance. Of course, again, this is only my personal opinion. I watched the movie, and I don't know. Sadly to say, I think it's it's a very, very bad movie. Bad as in it's not worth the time I wasted watching it. The only reason why I tuned in is because it, of course, starred Monique, her and Lee Daniels' turbulent relationship over the years. He cast her along with a veteran actress, Glenn Close. And I'm still trying to juggle the whole aspect of this movie because, personally speaking, the movie was poorly directed and poorly written. It was overacted. And again, of course, Monique and her character, in which she played the social worker, child protective agent in the movie, again, her foul mouth and her anger, her over-the-top acting and anger, foul-mouthed woman. It seems as though she's being typecast. And I don't know whether or not Lee Daniel just kind of like threw this role to her to reinvigorate her acting career. Of course, who's to say how this is going to pan out, but I guess she's not on the blacklist anymore. Lee Daniel threw her this role, and of course Glenn Close, a veteran actress, most of us know her as one of the protagonists in the movie Basic Instinct with Michael Douglas. Of course, she played the side chick in that movie. Of course, nonetheless, she's a great actress, but the role that she played in this movie, of course, was the mother of. We're gonna pull this up. Actually, the scores actually went down just that quickly. It's 31% Rotten Tomatoes. Those of us who don't know what Rotten Tomatoes or Rotten Tomatoes or the scoring behind that is, the lower the score, the worse the movie. Yeah, it's 31% Rotten Tomatoes, and of course, they have another scoring, which is they go by what is called the popcorn meter. It's 55% out of 100 ratings, so it's half and half. And again, I watched the movie basically because Monique was starring in it, and of course Glenn Close. But again, the movie lacked substance, and the movie dragged The movie was all over the place. The whole storyline was all over the place. I couldn't keep focused on what it was about and the reason behind it. But again, the cast of the movie, we have the full cast of the movie, which starred Audrey Day, which starred in one of Lee Daniels' other movies, and I think that was Billie Holiday. Again, we have, Audrey Day played Ebony Jackson. They couldn't find another name, but Ebony Jackson, which is the leading role of the mother, right from the start of the rolling 15 minutes of the film. She plays a very abusive, toxic mother to her children. A lot of cursing, a lot of unnecessary cursing and name calling. Of course, she was very abusive to her children. Okay, I must say that this is going to be a spoiler alert. For those who didn't watch the movie, I'm sorry. I just, again, this is just my opinion from watching the film. Again, we have Glenn Close, which plays her mother, which goes by the name of Morgan. Her character was a white woman. Those who didn't know, Glenn Close is a white woman, but white American actress. She played the mother to Audrey's Day character, which is Ebony. And she's dying of cancer, or she's diagnosed with cancer in the movie. And I'm not laughing at the fact that she was diagnosed with cancer, but the whole connecting of the characters in the movie is all over the place. It made no sense whatsoever. But the mother is supposedly dying of cancer. She's diagnosed with cancer. It doesn't say what cancer she's diagnosed with, but she has cancer. She's lost her hair through chemotherapy. She meets the character, one of the doctors, which is played by Omar Epps, which there is no, again, the character development of this movie is all over the place, but he pops in the first or second scene of the movie while the mother goes in for chemotherapy. Glenn Close character goes in for chemotherapy. And again, the doctor, or maybe he's not a doctor, maybe he's an RN nurse, Omar Epps' character, doesn't say his name, but he's just a character in the movie. They have a connection, some kind of lustful connection, where Omar Epps' character, even though this woman is diagnosed with cancer, is dying of cancer, he's flirting with her. And again, there is no connection whatsoever of why his character is in the movie, why Glenn Close is dying of cancer. But nonetheless, she's in therapy. Apparently, she has jungle fever, and as the movie drags on, her character kind of develops in which she has an affinity to black men, i.e., her daughter, Audrey Day, which is Ebony. So apparently her mother was into black men at a younger age, and therefore Ebony comes into the picture. She has 3 kids in which they become, I guess, a drain on her as a mother. Again, this character of Audrey Day, Ebony, is very abusive, very toxic, and can't seem to hold her family down. She suffers from alcoholism, out of all things. But it does mention in the movie that the father, which is not present, conveniently, he's in the war in Iraq as a soldier. But again, it shows no aspect of connections with the character, why he's not, present. Well, of course, he's fighting the war. The movie is supposed to be taking place in the early 2000s. But he's over in Iraq. No connection to the kids, no phone calls, no pictures, no nothing. It's just he's just this blank entity that's not present in the home. And again, Audrey Day's character seeming to have a hard time keeping up with her ability to be a mother to her children. She's very abusive. Now, the thing that gets me, again, this movie is supposedly be taken from an actual true story. And this is what gets me. Okay, and I'm going to read. This is from Forbes. It says the horrifying true story behind Netflix, The Deliverance, what happened to LaToya Ammons. Okay, that is the woman who experienced this situation of the adaptation of the movie in which Lee Daniels made. Okay, so it says, if you're a fan of the Exorcist film, Netflix new horror film, The Deliverance should be on your watch list. I beg to differ. This movie, again, my opinion, was a waste of time to watch. Again, if you're a fan of Monique, or you're a fan of Glenn Close, yeah, it's worth, I guess, a watch for a few minutes. But again, this movie drags along very, very slowly. Lack of character development in this movie, but I digress. Okay, it says, continue. It may be hard to believe, but the project is based on a real event that a family experienced over a decade ago. Read on to uncover the story behind the blah, 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 blah. The Deliverance, which debuted on Netflix on August 30th, is directed by Academy Award nominee Lee Daniels, known for Precious. And those of us who remember Precious, of course, it was a good movie. Very toxic, but nonetheless, it was a good movie. Very depressing. It goes on to saying that this movie marks a reunion for Daniels with the actress Audrey Day and Monique, whom he previously directed in Billie Holiday and Precious, respectively. The cast also includes Glenn Close, Anjanou Ellis Taylor, Caleb McLaughlin, and more. Okay, Daniels told The Hollywood Reporter, and this is what made it very interesting to me. It says, Daniels told Hollywood Reporter that he hadn't heard about Ammons' story until after making Precious. Once he did, he steered away from the movie for several reasons. Quote, one, I felt that I didn't want to do another story about abuse. This woman was abusing her kids, which Audrey Day's character, like in Precious, abusing her kids, or what defines as abuse, because she was hitting the kids, he revealed. And two, quote, I know how I work. I'm an open portal, and I know what I demand. And I know the spirits works through me. So what kind of spirits do I want on me? So I was just like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Daniels admitted that the story sat with him forever. He continued, quote, we had never seen the story through this lens of the African-American woman on screen. I just felt we're in such a dark times. I don't think people really know how dark of times we are in. And I felt like I needed to get reconnected to my higher powers. Exploring the real-life story of LaToya Ammons and her account of what she and her family experienced. Okay, it says as the film Deliverance is it based on a true story? It says yes, Deliverance is inspired by the true story of LaToya Ammons. In November 2011, Ammons, her mother, and 3 children moved into a rental house on a quiet street of a small one-story home in Gary, Indiana. Ammons and her mother, Rosa Campbell, reported hearing footsteps going up the basement stairs after midnight and the creak of doors opening between the basement and the kitchen. One night, Campbell recounted walking up to see a shadowy figure of a man pacing in her living room. When she got up to investigate, she discovered a large wet boot prints on the floor. And I guess this is where Lee Daniel draws in the father in the movie, draws in the father being conveniently stationed or fighting a war in Iraq, being that he's a part of the military. So I guess that's where he's drawing this conclusion of the story, placing it in a movie. But again, it still makes no sense. And it says, quote, "This is not normal." Campbell recalled to the Indianapolis Star in 2014, "We killed them, we killed them, we killed them, but they kept coming back." Okay, this is a quote from LaToya Ammons. But that wasn't the only strange thing happening in the house. Over the next few months, the incidents grew worse. Ammons described witnessing her children levitating above their beds, being physically thrown out of the bedroom, getting injured by flying objects, and speaking in unnatural, deep voices. Campbell recalls telling her daughter, "We need help. We need to talk to someone who knows how to deal with this." Ammons and Campbell's contact local churches, but most refuse to listen. According to the Indy Star, one church official told the family their house have spirits, and in it suggested they clean the house with bleach and ammonia, then use oil to draw crosses on every door and window. Ammons also followed a clairvoyant advice and set up an altar in the basement. She draped a white sheet over an end table, placed a white candle and a Mary, Joseph, and Jesus statue on it, and opened the Bible to Psalms 91. Psalms, however you want to pronounce it. She told the site that she and another person wore white t-shirts and white scarves around their heads while burning sage and sulfur throughout the house. Now, what this sounds like is that they weren't trying to exorcise the spirits out of the house. It seemed like they was trying to draw the spirits into the house. Burning sulfur? Let that sink in for a minute. Continues to say, Ammons said nothing happened for 3 days, but then things took a frightening turn. The family reported that demons possessed Ammons and her children. The children's eyes bulged. Evil smiles appeared on their face, and their voices deepened during these episodes. Campbell told the Indy Star that the demons did not affect her because she was born with protection from evil. Okay, now my first question to this story, and I guess I'm putting this out there for anyone who's listened to this podcast. If you and your family experience anything closely remotely to this story happening in a house, why would you stay in that house? Wouldn't it be smart enough to just pack up your shit and be like, okay, we are out? Especially if it's a black family. Let that sink in for a minute. Again, I digress. This story, this movie, inspired Lee. Of course, he said he didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. No, did he? He didn't want to touch this movie because of the storyline and the implications of possibly conjuring spirits as he's trying to direct and make this movie. Again, this is only my review of the movie. Personally, I think the movie was trash. It's not entertaining whatsoever. It's all over the place. It doesn't seem to follow a narrative, and it hops all over the place for really no purpose whatsoever. It's not entertaining to watch. Of course, if you're into horror movies, and that's what they're trying to, that's the genre that they're trying to market this movie as, a suspense horror movie. But it lacks creativity. Again, the script is horribly written. And from it drawing from an actual event, I have to question this event, did it ever take place? Because a story in which this woman, Latoya Ammons, reported to the Indianapolis newspaper, I have to question that, is that even real? Or was it just something for, I don't know, publicity, attention? Because again, if I'm with a family, if me and my family, children, I'll take out children. If me and my dog was in a house that was giving off this type of energy, there is no way in hell I would sit in that house or even go out and say, hey, I need help. Can any pastor or anyone in this religious church or churches help me exercise my home? No, I would pack my shit and I would be out the door that night. There's no sense of staying, trying to fight evil spirits after seeing your children being thrown across the room, face contortions, and demonic voices. Again, this is just my opinion on the movie. Those that want to continue to watch or want to view this movie, it is on Netflix, and it just came out on the 30th of August, which was over the weekend. My conclusion to this is that Lee Daniels could have done much, much better, in my opinion. Again, maybe this was something, and I have to question, how is he even bankable in Hollywood? That was a rhetorical question. How was he even bankable in Hollywood? Because this movie was terrible. Again, it was poorly written, poorly directed. It dragged along. The story did not connect with the characters. The development of the characters. The height of the movie, I have to say, at the end, again, this is a spoiler alert, but I don't care. The apex of the movie is when Glenn Close's character all of a sudden appears through the son's possession, and she became the entity or the personification of the devil or the demon or demons, whatever you want to call them. Her character appeared through the son, the youngest son, who was basically possessed throughout the movie. Again, there is no connection. Storyline is all over the place. So watch it if you must. Maybe you will enjoy it, but this is just this is just my opinion on the movie. This is my review of the movie, and I think that Lee Daniels, as talented as he's being raved as, I think he could have did a much better job. And who knows, again, maybe this is just something that he put together to reinvigorate Glenn Close's career and put Monique back in the game. Maybe that's what it was. I applaud Lee Daniel if that was the case. Wish I can say it was a job well done, but again, I think he could have done better. Thank you so much for listening to the Billy Flint Experience. I'm, of course, your host, Billy Flint, and you're coming live here from Germany. Wish everyone a productive start of the week and a new month, start of the new month, September. Fall is approaching. Actually, this whole year went by very, very fast. I can't believe it. It's like it's almost Christmas, you might as well say. But again, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with you again soon. Have a great one.
Go on, you've got another 5 seconds. Say something outrageous.
You dirty bastard.
Go on, again.
You dirty fucker.
What a clever boy.
What a fucking rotter.
Well, that's it for tonight.